Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wine and Real Estate.
Bonsoir.
So tonight we're really excited. We have Jonathan Matheson from Prince Edward Island. And I have to be careful because we have Prince Edward County in Ontario, and it's a great wine region. And I keep saying Prince Edward County, oops, Island. I don't know where it is anymore.
Yes.
So welcome.
Yeah, we're excited. So would you like to introduce yourself, Jonathan, for everyone who doesn't know you?
No, for sure. Yeah. So I'm Jonathan Matheson. I'm an investor down here in Prince Edward Island. And you can call it Prince Edward County. I'll know what you mean anyway. I'm not but no, I've born and raised here on the island, big, huge population, 150,000 people or whatever. And, there's 20,000 in my city, or we call the city. Anyways, we've been investing for a little over 3 years, give or take. 2018, we bought our first property. And anyways, it kind of started the niche and went from there.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So what are you drinking tonight, Jonathan?
I'm drinking something from our it's actually beer. I'm not really on the wine tonight. This is a Gahan beer. There's a small brewery on the island here. They have restaurants. DP Murphy, they own all the Wendy's and Tim Hortons on the island, and they make their own beer and stuff. And I figured since I wasn't a huge wine drinker, I may as well drink something that can kind of go with the flow of the show, right? So I went with something local, and Gahan is something that I can handle. So
that's great. You add to the local flavor. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. Salud. So yeah, we're drinking our usual. What is this one?
It's a Shiraz Cabernet.
Cabernet from Magnolia Winery. So it's from Toronto. Yay!
From Toronto. Yay.
And we buy this in huge boxes. It's 16 liters.
Oh,
super cheap.
Yeah,
it's really bad. Normally we have some good wines, but once in a while I'm like, this is good enough for a Monday night.
I'm sure if I could go buy the keg sometimes to make life a lot easier.
Yeah,
that's exactly. So tell us about investing on the island. What areas do you invest in? Do you invest in the same town that you live in?
Yeah, for the most part, like we say, we try to stay local, right? If I can drive, my parents live about 30 kilometers from my house, and it's about a 15-minute drive, right? 20-minute drive. They live snap dab in the middle of the island. You can go from one end to the island, from one end to the other end of the island in 3-hour drive. So it's not even that huge, but we relatively try to stay local to where we're at within a 20-30-minute drive, because it makes it easier getting around and driving by our properties and seeing what's going on. Recently though, we've been thinking about going towards the Charlottetown way, which is the capital of the island, and they have, I don't know, they might get to 45,000 people now. And
metropolis.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a busy city. You don't want to be at there rush hour. Take the 20 minutes to get out of town. Well, I'm sure. But, we mostly stay in the Summerside area. We go out towards Borden, where if you've ever been to the island, it takes you right across the bridge. And like Borden is the first town you hit once you come off the bridge.
Yeah.
We have a 4-unit building out there, and we actually just recently purchased a storage unit.
Cool.
Yeah, which was pretty exciting. We just closed Thursday. And so that's really exciting for us. It's
Congrats.
Kind of a new little niche that we've been wanting to try to get into. So
that's great.
Borden, Summerside, and anywhere in between, really. If the deal's there, I'll travel to Surrey, which is the other tip of the island, if the deal's good enough.
And is this what you do full time? You just renovate and all that, or?
Yeah, well, it started 3 years ago. Well, actually, I'll go back 5 years ago. I actually became an electrician. I went to trade school, got my ticket. Well, I never got my ticket, but I've been working as an electrician. And about a year and a half into that, I realized I hated pulling wire, and I didn't want to have 40 years pulling wire. And anyways, it just I actually stumbled onto bigger pockets.
Cool.
And, when I landed on that, it kind of opened a whole new door for me. And I started looking around. I didn't still understand a whole lot. In my mind, it was buy a property, rent it for, say it was $100,000 property. I rent it for $800. My mortgage is $400. I'm making $400 a month. That's what I thought. I never went more into it than that. And I'm glad I didn't, because I would have probably lost my shirt, and it would have probably turned me off of investing right off the get-go, right? Not understanding all the other aspects of it. But anyways, once I found bigger pockets, I started listening to it, and then we bought our first property in 2018, and yeah, that's what kind of started the whole thing for us. We bought a single family. It was a 3-bedroom bungalow in Summerside, and anyways, it was $67,000 is what we paid.
Oh my goodness.
That's like the price of a trailer.
We thought it was expensive, which is crazy. We thought it was expensive at the time. When we were renting it, we got it rented for $800, and our tenant paid for everything else. And she's been great. We still have her to this day, and she's an awesome tenant. Like the first one, and she's probably one of the best ones.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It was a learning curve. We definitely learned some things along the way, but she's been awesome to learn with. But anyways, from there, you know, we bought our next property, and it was the same thing. We paid $93,000 for the next one, and same thing. We rented that for $1,200, and we thought we were expensive in terms of the rent.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? And
was
now
that also a single family home?
Yeah, it was a single family home for $1,200, and we paid for the heat, or we do still pay for the heat. It's been the same tenants. We've been very lucky. We haven't had any turnover with our tenants.
Wow.
So everybody we have are awesome, great tenants, and so we've been very lucky with them. Anyways, and then from there, we once we started going into it, we realized it was kind of hard. We were buying maybe a property a year, but you had to work a lot, save a lot of money, just get the 20% down. So we tried to start figuring out how to go a little bit faster, and that's where Bigger Pockets was huge for us.
Yeah.
Myself more so, and then I just explained everything to my wife, and she nods her head, said, okay, yeah, okay, whatever you say. And so anyways, we actually ended up finding a property out in Badek. It was a rundown old estate sale, and it was on the market. It was for sale by owner first, and that one, it sat on the market for maybe 4 or 5 months, and then it actually hit the MLS system. And they wanted like $70,000 for it. It was a 2-bedroom, but it was small, like 400 square feet.
Oh wow!
With an attached garage. It was really tiny, and it was really kind of gross. The gentleman who passed away, he was a hoarder, and there was a lot of stuff there. Yeah. So we went in there, and
any treasures?
No, not for us.
Just garbage.
Just garbage. We did get in the attic, and we found some old chandeliers and stuff, which was funny. My the electrician I was working for, his wife, it was actually her uncle who owned the house. And so she grew up going out there, and so we found some stuff that we found it was a paint stir stick about this long that had their cursive writing on it from when they were kids. And so it was something cool we found, and we gave it back to them.
Wow.
But anyways, they wanted $70,000 for the house, and it wasn't worth that. It was too tiny. It had a full basement, but we went in. I found a realtor that was an awesome deal. He became a really good friend of mine, actually, and we basically went in with a lowball offer. We paid $45,000 for it.
Can you even get a mortgage for that price?
No, you couldn't. So we
line of credit or something. Yeah.
And anyway, so when it was all said and done between the purchase price and the renovation, we were all into it for about $115,000, and then it refinanced actually at $180,000.
Wow, nice.
So it was a big win, because what we ended up doing is we ended up putting 3 bedrooms upstairs and a bathroom. We put another bathroom and a bedroom in the basement if you want to be. It was more of a rec room, and we converted the garage to a kitchen living area. So we took the 400 square foot house to about 1,300 finished square feet.
Nice. Okay. And much more livable. Yeah.
And so once we realized how great it was in terms of the refinance, and that we got all of our money back and it still cash flowed, it was it was a no-brainer. So I've been looking for dumps ever since. If I can find something, I try to jump on it.
Wow. Anyone with a hoarding issue, call Jonathan.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You got something you just don't want to bother fixing up, give me a call. I love looking at them.
Yeah.
So do you do a lot of the manual work yourself?
For that property, we did. Myself and my cousin, we actually worked together as electricians. And the great thing that I liked about being an electrician is we learned a lot from trades and plumbers, like the carpentry. So we did go in and do a lot of it ourselves. Like we gutted the place. We had some friends help us gut it, and then he and I started doing all the new carpentry, everything else. We brought a plumber in. We rewired it ourselves.
Yeah.
And but it was a big process. Like we were working 8 to 4 every day, and then you get there and you're already kind of tired. So it'd be 4 in the evening, and then we'd be done around 7:38, and you'd be gassed, right?
Yeah.
And so that one we did do ourselves, but I kind of told my wife, never again. If we can swing it, we're gonna try to find somebody who knows what's going on and get it done faster.
There's some stuff you can do yourself, and some of it is just too much. Like time, you're not adding value. You're not
exactly. And I kind of look at it as a way as what do I value my time at? And at the end of the day, I was getting my wage at it. When we refinanced the property, I did get what I kind of valued my time, but
that's it though, not more. So you should be getting more.
And I was lucky I didn't have kids, but if I had kids or something, every night I'd be out till 8 o'clock and not getting back. It just wasn't worth it. When it really hit home, I was actually listening to a podcast that night where I was painting the ceiling, and Brandon Turner on Bigger Pockets mentioned something. He's like, there's going to be somebody right now listening to this podcast, painting this house to get it ready for a rental. And they're going to be laughing to themselves listening to this. And I couldn't get over it because like, that's me. That's what's happening. I almost on the floor laughing because it was exactly what I was doing. So I figured, you know what, if I can find someone else to do a project for me, or, you know, at least help me along the way, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, even help. Yeah, that's what we've done. Like sometimes we do demolition, but everything else.
No, the demo's the fun part, right?
Yeah, you go crazy.
Exactly. Cleanup, that sucks.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't mind painting.
Yeah, we don't mind painting sometimes.
Not a whole house, but
a few rooms.
Maybe, but I'm not a big painter myself either. I don't like it. I can do the electrical. I like rough carpentry with framing walls and doors and stuff. I don't have the patience for finish work. When I have to make more than 2 cuts to put on a piece of trim, I get kind of fed up with
it. No trim needed.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I do. I try to do as much of the work I can myself. The project we're on now, I actually have 2 guys that are working with us. One guy, he's a carpenter. He's been doing it for years, and we became pretty good friends. He was actually my personal house. He was working with the carpenter who did my personal house, and that's how I made that connection. And he's helped with 3 renovations now.
Wow.
What we're doing now. So
that's great.
Yeah. So to do a lot of that, though, I got my real estate license just January 5th. So now I'm
you're a jack of all trades.
Well, I look at it. I like being around real estate. I like getting in and around houses, and to me, that's more exciting than pulling wire or hanging drywall or painting. So if I can try to make some money selling real estate, I'd much rather pay the guys that are good at what they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is an expertise as well. Like sometimes when you do it yourself, then you get a true appreciation for their work.
Exactly. That's just it, right? Finished carpentry, you watch these guys, being around new construction homes and stuff, and you see the guys go in there and do an amazing job and make a house. They finish a house, they make it look amazing, and then it's I can do that, and I can't. I don't have the patience. I'd rather pay that guy the $30 an hour because he knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
And he can do it circles around me. It'll take me a day to trim out a room, and he'll be done in an hour.
Oh my goodness.
It. So there is a price to that expertise. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's costing you more, but then you're making mistakes. Like I was cutting some flooring the one time. Took me a week, and I'm sure it would have taken a day to someone. Maybe an afternoon.
To some guys who lay flooring, that's exactly it, right?
That's it. They're like, I know exactly what to do. I'm like, I had to do it and then lay it again and again and again. Then I was breaking it. And
wasting it and everything else. I know that's what we did. We just kind of finished our basement. It's semi-finished. I'm down here right now. It's still a mess. It's not totally cleaned out yet, but
it looks good from behind.
Yeah, thank you. But the flooring, it's the same thing. I get this carpenter guy, Matt, his name. He helps me out, and he's quick. He's one of the best workers I've ever seen. So I rely on him a lot, and he does a really, really good job for me. Like,
that's awesome.
He comes in, he's got some pride in his work and everything. And he if he doesn't know how to do it, he'll figure it out, and it'll still be better than I ever could have done myself. So,
so you have a great team that works with you. That's great.
So far, anyway, there's been no complaints yet. I'm sure someday there'll be some sort of fallout with somebody, but I try not to. I try to be a pretty easygoing, happy fella and get along with everybody. And I like to be liked. That's what it is, right? So
yeah, and I think if you pay your people well and you respect them, usually there isn't a fallout. Like you might part ways in a friendly way, like just find someone else. But
Yeah, and that's what I found, right? You know, dealing with a lot of different trades and plumbers, and over the years, like even working with the electrician that I was working with, you know, we do work for guys for a big time contractor. He may not get us one job, he gets us back for the next, but it's always friendly. It's always nice. Like PEI is a small place and everybody knows that. And you don't want that name for yourself as a guy who's not paying or is too difficult to deal with, right? It doesn't bode well for any sort of business.
No.
Yeah. You don't
even
have
in
a bad
Ontario,
reputation.
where lots of people, like almost 15 million, I think, but like your market becomes a bubble like that. So the word gets out. Real estate investing, I think we're 5% of the Canadian population. So it really shrinks quickly. And then we're not, like, I mean, how many properties do you have?
We're at 6 as a whole right now, not including our primary residence.
So that's excellent, but I mean, you're still small, like you're not a big developer.
Small,
you have to be careful what you do. Like it's awesome. Congrats. Wow, 6. Yeah. But I mean, it's not like a track home builder or something.
No, and that's just
we're like we're small fries.
They're trying to start a well, there is, I shouldn't say trying, there is a rental or a landlord rental association here on PEI. And and they do a lot for the tenant or for the members in the program. But some of those people in there, like they're big fish, you know, hundreds of units across.
That's it.
Hundreds of apartments and buildings and stuff, right? Like they're a little bit bigger and can, you know,
leverage.
You make somebody mad, they're big enough, got enough work, they can find someone else relatively easy, right? Where, you know, we're still small time, and I don't want my tenants or anyone else to think that I'm a guy that's just trying to be a sleazy landlord, ripping somebody off or walk all the rent, right? It's not the reputation you want.
No, that's for sure.
And even tenants do check you out as a landlord. So that is something else that's important. What image are you giving? And and who knows, like they may know the carpenter you hired or fired.
Exactly.
So that's important too.
That's a good point.
Yes.
So sorry.
You kind of mentioned, Jonathan, your first 3 projects, they were single family homes. Is that your kind of meat and potatoes or your strategy, or do you kind of branch out into other kinds of investments?
The single family homes is more because that's just what was on the market.
Okay. Maybe it's easier to rent out in your area.
It is. Yeah. And there's less headache with them in terms of noise complaints and stuff, unless you find, like, we only have one multifamily unit right now with 4 units, and it's an old building, and it's it doesn't have the proper soundproofing that needs to be there. Excuse me. So I do get I get noise complaints, and it's kind of it's not a big headache, but it's still there. Where all the single family properties that we have, tenants are great. I hear from them once a month when rent is due, or, you know, maybe if the tap's leaking or something like that, right?
Wow.
But it's, for the most part, single family or small multifamily. I'd like to get into apartments someday or some sort of development, but right now I think we're sticking with the small single families, and especially if I can find a property that is distressed and needs a big renovation, that's what I'm going for.
And they still make sense in your market. You're able to cash flow with single family homes. Here, forget it. Unless you're money laundering or something.
Yeah.
No way.
The lousy part now is it is getting harder. Our market has really shot up. That first house we bought for $67,000, it's probably worth, well, I just sold a house last week or 2 weeks ago. Very similar, right up the road from this one that we own, and it just sold for $185,000.
Wow.
$115,000 more, and it's very comparable in terms of size and style and everything, right? So it is getting harder. It's still possible in Summerside, but if you go towards the Charlottetown area, the median average home price in Charlottetown right now, or in February, I think it was $322,000.
Okay, so that's getting up there.
It is getting up there. It's getting harder Charlottetown ways. Summerside, you can still make it work if you find the right deal.
Yeah. It's always like that. We always like smaller markets, so Summerside definitely is a
Summerside is nice.
Secondary.
Yeah. One place that I think is kind of underrated and still going to blow up is Borden here on the island.
Because it's right at the bridge. So
it's right at the bridge. There's not a lot going on out there. Whether and people need housing. I was talking to a fellow the other day. He said there's 1,200 jobs out in Borden.
Wow,
really? Wow.
Seriously.
The population of Borden alone might only be 2,000 or 3,000 people. So there's a lot of people that travel from around. Like there's the Irvings, they own this. There's a box plant that they probably employ 500 people, and then there's a beef plant, there's a glass plant, and there's a lot of businesses down there. And so I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of possibility for development down there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's kind of the area that I like being out there, getting in board with the 4-unit that we have, and that's actually where our storage unit is that we just purchased.
Yeah, that's interesting. Tell us about that.
Yes.
That was actually pretty exciting. We kind of talked about it. We've actually played with the idea of building one. My father, he has a lot that he used to run a business out of 15, 20 years ago. And it's just an old steel building that's basically wasting away to nothing. But the lot was very big. So he was going to let us take the lot and build a unit on it. So we thought about it. But once we seen the size of building that we can put there, it was only going to be maybe 20 units at the most, and it probably would have cost about $300,000 to build it.
Oh boy.
So it didn't really make sense, and it wasn't in a great spot, so we kind of put that off to the side and never thought
you want it visible, I think, like, so people think about it.
Exactly. You want it somewhere where people see it, right?
Yeah.
And that's just it. And it wasn't in that great of a location. It was more or less because the land was free that we were going to do it.
Yeah.
So we thought about it, but we just kind of waited. And then one day I was sitting on the MLS system, just happened to open up my computer to check out what was on the market. And this 30-unit storage unit came on the market for $300,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And what was even better about it, it's an 8,500 square foot facility.
Wow.
So there's 30 units, and then there's still about another 3,000 square feet that's not even being used and can very easily be converted. We could probably add another 30 or 40 units to this building.
Or do like larger items like boats or items.
Yeah, well, boats, like cars and motorcycles would be more what it is.
Okay, because it's indoors. Yeah.
Yeah, where the ceiling's just not quite high enough for the other stuff. But anyways, the listing realtor who had it on the market, I reached out to him right away, and once I told him kind of who I was, because he actually did a lot of work for my wife's family in their restaurant and for her family in general, so he was right excited to start talking to me. So he kind of held it because it was such a good deal that he held it for us till the next day to go take a peek at it, while he had, we kind of had a offer in even without looking at it before we even went, right? So it was kind of sold before we even seen it. And then anyways, so we went and got that. It's the great thing about it is all his units were very underpriced. They weren't at the market rents of what they should be per unit for the size of them. And half the building was half empty. So it's actually quite easy to go in there, like, and get the rents to what we want and try to fill the building up. I hope it's easy anyway to fill the building up to what it needs to be. The reason they were selling it, it was just it was a business that him and his family, or him and his brothers, they just didn't want to run it anymore. They weren't running it the way they should be, and so they just kind of let it go downhill. And that's they offload
some upkeep. I mean, you need to have relationships with your tenants and make sure they renew and pay.
Exactly. And that's what he said. He said there was they lost out on a lot of money over the last 3 years because they just got so busy with other businesses. They're all entrepreneurs. He has his own building company, and it was busy for him, right?
Yeah.
So once he heard that, it was a young family or young couple like us, and we wanted to get in on it, he was more than happy to help us out. He's a very good guy that way, where he wants to see other people succeed, and I think those are the people you kind of need to have in your corner, right? So
yes,
absolutely. That's so cool. So what kind of cash flow can you get from a storage unit? I'm really curious. We've never thought about that.
This one here, we paid $300,000 for it. The property tax out here, because it is a commercial building, it's I think it's about $2,500 actually a year.
That's cheap.
It's kind of high for the island. Maybe not so much for Ottawa.
That's a bargain.
It depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's that, and then there's not a whole lot of overhead next to your electric. The electric bill we just bought the place, so I'm not sure what our bill will be, but he was telling me on average he was paying about $100 a month on his electric bill.
Because it's not even heated. It's
and it's not even heated. You don't need to heat it. There's no water. There's no plumbing. There's nothing like that, right?
Perfect.
Yeah, there's almost no overhead, which we're hoping. with what he had,
it's probably advertising. That's where
there'll be some advertising. And what he was doing is the rents that he had, he was bringing in about $2,500 a month if all the units were rented. If it was totally full up, he had the building paid off. So, he's looking at probably $2,000 roughly a month cash flow because it was paid off. Now we have the mortgage and other expenses and whatnot. If we can get totally rented, which I hope to do within the next 6 months to a year with the market rents, we're hoping to probably cash flow somewhere around the 12 to 1,500 mark.
Nice.
Good though.
Yeah. And that's, I hope that's what happened. And then there's also the possibility of adding another 30 or 40 units, right? That's just to rent with what's there now.
Yeah. So not making any big changes.
So, no big changes or anything like that. And it's exciting for us.
I've read stats about self-storage like that, and it's a booming industry. Most Canadians are downsizing and renting storage. So.
And that's just it. I was actually on the phone today with a tenant, one of the existing tenants that are still there. She was renting 3 storage units in Charlottetown, which a 25-30 minute drive away. And what she was paying for those 3 units, she was able to get down at our facility from the old owners at about half the price. And she doesn't want to get ready into any of the stuff. So she's got this huge 8 by 20 foot unit and she's unwilling to get rid of it. She wants to keep it. Right. So I look at it as not so much recession proof, but I think it might be more resilient.
Yeah, I think so. Because no matter what, people still need to store that stuff. And
exactly. People, if somebody, heaven forbid, they may lose their house, they don't want to lose their stuff.
Yeah, they're gonna usually get storage.
Exactly.
Or between moves or
divorces, all kinds of things. So
exactly. There's another big the storage fella out in the same area. He owns hundreds of storage units, and he's gotten into the niche where he actually builds little 4x4 cubicles.
Okay.
And he allows people who have vacation homes on the island, and they rent it there from him for $50 a month, and they rent these 4x4 cubicles, and they'll throw their TVs, DVD players, just whatever they don't want to leave in their empty cottage while they're on the island or while they go back home for the winter. And it's great. You can fit a lot of units in a 4x4 area, right? So
yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's very cool. We're excited to get into it. There is going to be a little bit of work, and I'll be posting on my Instagram and probably my TikTok in terms of the cleanup. There was out of the when we first talked to this gentleman, he had 22 units full, is what he told me.
Wow.
And so he started going through the bookkeeping and realized that out of those 22 units, what was it? 17 of them haven't been paid in as little as 3 months, some as much as 3 years.
Whoa! So he was really not looking after his business
at all.
Oh,
and to keep their stuff.
Well, he started calling me. He told me, he's like, I don't think it's right for you folks to have to look after these people and chase them down for their money and whatever else. So he took care of all of it. He called everybody, said, listen, either pay what you owe or come get your stuff today. Like, he wasn't going to sell it on me. He just said, come get it. So nobody came and got it. So it's actually this 3,000 square foot storefront that we have. It's all sitting up there. So we're just going to go through it. And, he said, you can sell what you want. So it's exciting for us. It's our own little storage wars is what it is.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool. It's so popular on Netflix now.
Yeah, and that's just it. That's my mother-in-law. She can't speak a lick of English, but she loves watching Storage Wars. That's her favorite thing. Yeah.
She's going to be your biggest helper.
Storage Wars.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think she's more excited about it than we are. She can't wait to get going through people's stuff and seeing if there's. To her, everything's an antique. She'll pick something. Oh, antique, and then you flip it upside down. It says Dollarama on the bottom, right? She's just a big collector.
So tell us a little bit about like the landlord and tenant kind of situation on the island. Is it landlord friendly? Is it
not really?
Okay.
It's very and it's
so tenant screening is very important.
Yeah, exactly. It's becoming even worse now in terms of our rental legislation, Tenant Act, it's been the same since 1984. I think it has.
Oh boy, wow!
So it's over.
Before you were born.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming up on 40 years that it needs since it to be renewed. So the government just last year sent out a memo saying they're redoing the act. Never reached out to any landlords, anybody else. And that's when this association was actually formed, because they realized we need to stop this. Once the government advertised it and it was on, CBC got a hold of it and ran with it. We kind of realized that it's very favorable towards tenants. Not so much in the fact that, we eviction, stuff like that. That's not a concern to me. If you have a tenant that, is a good tenant and paying everything, like, you want to be nice, but it's more along the lines, if you have a really, really bad tenant and say it's in an apartment building and that tenant is causing havoc and threatening other tenants or making their lives
miserable. The thing. Yeah, that's what tenants don't realize. Like in Ontario, it's very tenant focused.
Yep.
And they don't realize they're shooting themselves in the foot, because a lot of landlords are becoming slumlords now, because you can't increase rent, can't fix it. So they're like, well, you can't do anything to me either, so good luck.
That's exactly what's happening here, right? Like, if you had a tenant that was a pain in your rear and destroying your property, the new legislation or the new tenant act that they want to put in place, it's a minimum of 30 days before you can get them out, and you can do a lot of damage in 30 days.
Yeah.
We can demo a house in
2 years, but
yeah, it's 2 years, is it?
2 years or never, depending on the case. So.
Well, we have a tenant that's destroying one of our properties, and we've been trying to evict them since November 2019.
Yeah.
Really?
And there's no end, no hearing, no end in sight. So, but we get paid every month. So we're like, I guess worst case, it'll burn down, and we'll just get it.
And sometimes that's the best case scenario, eh? That's
that's best case.
There you go.
No, I know, and that's a shame that it's that bad.
And it's scaring the tenant upstairs, like you were saying. It's scary. Another single mom upstairs.
Yeah,
worried. I mean, people dealing drugs downstairs and stuff. It's not very nice. So
exactly. See, we have a lot of good tenants. I've only ever had to deal with one eviction. And it went very pleasantly, and it was he was a really nice fella, and it was not his fault. He fell on hard times. He couldn't pay his rent, and we tried to work some things out, and I learned a few things from this. He offered to pay for the rent by doing some carpentry work for us, and I thought that was great. And, we let off his rent. No, it wasn't.
No.
And at the end of the month, when I say, like, he agreed to pay us X amount of dollars, and then the end of the month, when I say, hey, where's the
half
money?
Of that?
Yeah, well, not even that. He said, well, how much you pay me to do this carpentry work? And I said, well, I thought we had an agreement. And anyway, so it went on for 3 or 4 months that he went without paying rent. I knocked on the door one day, and we had a conversation, and he's like, yeah, I can be out by the end of this week, and he was gone, right? And I still see him around town. Summerside, like I said, is not a big spot, so I pass him driving all the time and give him a little wave. But that's the only time, and I've been lucky where, like I said, all my other tenants are,
That's an amazing eviction.
Yeah, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, he destroyed the place, but that was part of the agreement. That was the part of we were starting the renovation on that unit anyway. It was going to be an air.
Okay.
So in terms of destroying the place, it was.
Go ahead, demolish everything.
Property. Yeah. It is hard with the tenant laws some days. Like, raising rent is a big thing. With the fact that the market has jumped up, 300% in the last 3 years in terms of rent or
that's it.
A purchase price. It's hard to find a property where you can cash flow and still rent it at a reasonable rate. Like right now, to buy a property, you'd have to rent it at $2,000 or $2,500 in order to cash flow anything if you paid the market prices.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's outrageous for Prince Edward Island. Like, it's too much money. Like, the average family, if they can take home $2,500 to $3,000 take home every month, like that would be maybe. I don't even know if that would be average, to be honest with you.
Really?
Oh my goodness, they would not survive long here.
No, that's just it. Like, we had a tenant actually just moved into one of our spots that we were going to Airbnb, but we didn't really like the model. It was too much work for what we were doing. And he's right on the water, and we were a little bit higher on the rent side, like, $1,400, and he pays the utilities, and he thought it was great. He's from Ontario. He's like, I was in Toronto paying $4,000. Yeah, it was half his size, and his income stayed the same. He was making the same amount of money, right? So
internet.
Oh, wow.
It was a steal. He's right on the water, right on the boardwalk of Summerside, and
wow. It's a lifestyle. That's what's happening all over Canada as people are being displaced with internet.
Yeah.
You have good internet, then you go where it's cheaper and it's still reasonable. So
and that's a big driver for the markets going up here. The price of housing. There's a lot of off island, like, I'm working with a client right now from BC, and that's what they're doing. They, they can work from anywhere now, and PEI is a lower market. You can get more bang for your buck, and compared to Vancouver, right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
They're coming from a property that cost them $2 million, and
let's buy 10.
Buying a mansion for $600,000, right? Like $600,000, $1 million, and like there's some gorgeous homes that are going up for sale here on the island for $1 million, and they're 7,000 square feet with an acre and a half of property that's
oh my goodness,
right on the river. So it's still an oasis when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
So, but no, it's a great spot to be in investing. That's for sure.
Yeah. Wow. So what's the industry in Summerside? Like what's driving, like where are your tenants working?
It's a lot of retail. Like, it's like, we do have a couple tenants that are, they're self-employed. Like she has a nail salon, but she's extremely busy and, still a great tenant. But a lot of the other ones, cashiers, stuff like that, working at Staples, line cooks, I'm just thinking that factory workers too. There's a lot of factory workers in terms of like there's the big employers here on the island is Irving. They have the cabbage farms where the potatoes come from, and then
I was gonna say it's all about potatoes.
Potatoes and lobster. That's what you get on PEI. Okay. But those would be the big drivers for a lot of it now. And then the trades have been a big thing. They're just booming here. We're in a big housing boom. And
new construction or
construction, a lot of new construction. And that's been going on for probably the last 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It's all of Canada, so it's crazy. Even in Prince Edward Island. Wow.
I wouldn't think of that in PEI.
The one time we went 10 years ago, it was much more like kind of depressed and not much going on, but now it's
blowing up. It is. There's there's new developments right down my road, right up the street from where I live. We're in a dead end street, and it's there's the Confederation Trail runs right by our house almost, or a few houses up, and that's kind of the cutoff point. You go over across that, and there's all these $700,000-$800,000 homes, and we say we're in the poor part of the neighborhood because our house, when we bought our house, we paid $80,000 for it.
700K. Whoa, that's a major jump. They're not doing potatoes in the factory.
No, and like, mind you, when we bought our house, it was a dump, and the gentleman who lived here, like, it was the oldest house on the street, and we renovated it, right? So it's probably worth closer to 400 now, but it's still like, we still say we're in the poor part of the neighborhood because there's all these gorgeous $750,000 homes up the street, and then our end of the neighborhood, it's $300,000 to $400,000 is what they'd be worth down our way, right? Just up the street in the rich people part, they like, I think there's 13 homes last time I counted, and they've all been built within the last 4 years.
Really?
And that's the price of a townhouse here almost now.
Yeah, 700,000, you can get a townhouse in Ottawa.
An ugly one from 1992, probably.
I can't remember that. Like, you're buying properties at $80,000. Like,
not anymore. It's a little bit more rare. The project we're working on now, we paid $138 for this one we bought now, but it's a split entry home, and we're actually converting it to a duplex.
Cool. So, well, that's a challenge.
Yeah,
split entry. Yeah, it could be good, I guess.
It's good. The nice thing about it is, excuse me.
The beer.
Yeah, that's what it is. The house was built back in 1998. And the person who built it had a business run out of the basement.
Cool.
The great thing is they already had a separate entrance. There was a separate meeting.
Wow, perfect.
So we just had to adhere to the new building codes. In terms of doing everything. So it's coming along really good. I would say we're probably 70% of the way done. We're finishing up the drywall, and we just got to paint, flooring, trim, and then we're out of there, right? Get it rented, and away we go.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, but
were you able to keep the top unit rented while you did the bottom unit?
No. We didn't do an extensive renovation upstairs, but we still did do a little bit.
Cosmetic. 1998. I mean, I still remember 1998. So
yeah,
it's dated, but
yeah, no, it needed some love. The gentleman who lived there, like, he was a heavy smoker, and there was a lot of yeah. So we had to paint everything, and we redid the floors, repainted the kitchen cabinets, because the kitchen cabinets were surprisingly really nice. Which got me, which is this fella, like, he didn't keep a tidy house by any means. Like, this was one of those properties that I like to find where it needed some love.
Yeah, well, that's where the money is.
It is, yeah. And because I had these guys that were willing to go in and do the work for me, it's just been that much better, right?
Yes, you show up and you paint this, and this. Bye-bye.
I'll show up one day and I'll laugh, we'll drink coffee, and then we'll be like, anyways, guys, I'm leaving. See ya. Or I'll watch them work for an hour, and then I'll walk out the door afterwards, right?
Good job. Keep going.
Team spirit.
Yeah, a little bit of
send me your bill.
No, that's been great. Like, I know the big thing is now I've been trying to get a little bit more on Instagram and a little bit more active on that. And now the big thing for us is TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, I love your Instagram though.
Thank you. But TikTok, we've been having a blast with that. I've been kind of slacking off on it, but the fellow working for me, he actually went viral on TikTok a few weeks ago. So now, like, he'll go into work on a Saturday just to shoot more of these TikTok videos. Right? Like, he had a video, I think he had 600,000 likes on this video. It was
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What did he do on his video?
Well, he's a really good carpenter, right? So he just did, he took his hand, put 5 nails, and then took his hammer, and every single nail he drove it between his fingers,
without hitting
his fingers. And it was cool. We weren't in the house when it happened. He said, go outside, I need to be totally cool. So I was outside cringing like this, waiting for something to happen. Anyways, and then he did it. Then he put it on TikTok, which is just outrageous, and it blew up. Like, I think he's at 600,000 or 6 million views now.
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness, we need to go on TikTok.
You probably would hit all of your fingers like 20 times.
All 5.
Even just like real estate related stuff. Like, you guys have a lot of good content that you're posting on Instagram, and TikTok's a really great way to find it, to get those subscribers and people following you. I've found, like, I'm not posting as much as I should be, but there's a lot of people that post real estate related stuff, and they're huge. A couple million followers, and the same thing that you and I do every day, and thinking real estate, doing real estate, and everything else, right? And
TikTok, we're just too old, I guess.
Yes. Our daughter likes to tease us, because the other day I was like, "Are you on that talk again?"
Yeah.
When you turn 40, you're not cool anymore. Sorry, but
cool,
I have a hard time with it. Like, I graduated high school in 2010, and
oh my goodness, you're a baby.
It was right around that time where social media was really becoming a thing with Facebook and Instagram and all that. Yeah. Where I thought I was too.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
There you go. She couldn't hear what you said.
Anyways, I almost thought I was too cool to hop on with all the bandwagons of people getting on Instagram, so I never learned how to use it. So now I find myself asking this 19-year-old working with, how do I do this? How do I do that?
The stories and the reels, and
well, that's what it is. Like, what I asked me the other day, like, what is this reels on Instagram? I don't understand. What is it?
Yeah, our daughter does our reels, because
I tried. I'm like, I give up. Just do something, please.
Just have some kids, Jonathan. It'll help you.
Yeah. Who knows what by the time we have the kids, and who knows what the next fad will be in 15, 20 years time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be something else, because schooling too, like, we're watching our kids, and they don't write anything by hand anymore. Everything is typed, or even not even typed. They just say it, and it's typed, and then they correct it.
Well,
so first learn grammar. There's autocorrect. I'm like,
right there.
Great.
Oh, there goes the dogs. The cursive writing is something that's not even used anymore, right? It just it takes me away. I don't even remember how to do it personally, but it's not something.
I think that the kids these days just think it's a font.
Yeah, it's a nice font. Look at this, it's fun.
Yeah. Besides my signature that I sign on documents, that's about the extent of my cursive writing nowadays.
I know, it's terrible.
Okay. I'm feeling ancient now. I remember the pre-internet life. So anyway.
My goodness. So Jonathan, you've got quite a few properties under your belt. Now you're doing storage units. What's next for you?
honestly, I kind of like the idea of developments.
Like new builds
in Borden.
Yeah, it's funny that Borden just announced 2 weeks ago they want to bring development to the area, so they're actually offering give you like breaks on taxes and properties and all that stuff. Like I don't exactly remember all of what they said, but I know like they're even willing to help you almost give away land if there'll be a developer that'll come do it, right?
Cool. Wow. Because it's a big expense. I mean, you got to run all the water and stuff. And...
Yep. Well, like I know there's been 3 new subdivisions put in Summerside within the last 10 years, and they're almost full. Then there's a new one that's opening up here in June. And I was talking to the developer not too long ago because I actually thought about buying a few lots. And he called me 2 weeks ago and said, if there's somebody that's willing to buy 2 lots, he'll offer them at a discount. And then, yeah, not a big deal. It was like $2,000 or something.
That's like that. Still a discount. Here, like if you're buying 2, we'll charge you more. Don't worry, we'll increase your price.
I guess I forget how lucky we have it sometimes. Like for us, it's outrageous, right? You know, it's like $2,000 off. I'm giving you $120,000 for these 2 lots, right? But they're duplex lots, and you know, a duplex right now, like they're building and developing duplexes where, you know, they're putting a brick wall in the middle, so they're actually 2 single-family dwelling units. Just it's you know a semi-detached, or I forget the proper term for it, but they
like a semi-detached, but it's a duplex.
Yeah.
So one deed, and you could split it at some point, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, or you can just sell both separately, right, and do it that way.
Okay, so it's really semi-detached. Cool.
Yeah, semi-detached. Yes, thank you, semi-detached. Anyways, they're selling right now, like in Summerside, they're selling for $300,000 per side.
Oh wow!
Getting like a two bedroom, 2 bath, really nice vaulted ceilings. It's a nice spot, and so that's kind of got me thinking about that. But it's a lot of work and it's a lot of overhead, and I like the renovations. That gentleman that I was talking about that's helping me, that's doing the carpentry work, he and I have actually started a small property management business. So we may start focusing a little bit more on that because it is getting harder to find properties that you can cash flow on. So we're trying to look at other streams of revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. Like build your own, which is, we know a few couples and a few people that do build their own. And then you control the costs quite a bit. I mean, the first one's probably going to be expensive. Yeah. Then you're going to learn, okay, this plan works best, and look at efficiencies. And
exactly. Stuff. Yeah. And that was something we've talked about, right? And this fella, he's talked to me a few times, and because of this property management that we're doing, we also offer, you know, renovations, windows, doors. And I was like, well, why don't we just go into house building? Let's build a couple duplexes. Right?
Yeah.
You know, let's sell a couple. Like I said, you know, we buy 2 lots, and you know, we buy 2 lots, build 1 duplex, keep the second one, right? And that way we go. Use the profit from the first one and save the second one. But you know, it is a lot of work, and there's a lot of overhead and added costs, and we'll see where it goes. But I think the main thing for us now is the storage unit is something we really want to kind of build on.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I told my wife, my 3 things I want to focus on this year is my real estate sales and building my brand as a realtor.
For sure.
And then the storage unit, I want to get that full and optimized and running to its full potential. And then, you know, if we can add another 30 or 40 units over the next 2 or 3 years, that would just be huge. And then this property management business that my friend and I have started together. Like right now we look after, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties. But 2 of them are room rentals. So they're a little bit of a headache, but we're getting them under control. And like we're getting the hang of it, is what it is. Like the tenants are kind of learning. And so it is getting easier.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So how long have you been a realtor, Jonathan?
January 5th.
Look at that memory.
But he said it before we were on the live.
Oh, okay.
I wanted him to say it on the live.
Maybe that was the case. We were talking before the live. Yes, January 5th. January 5th. It's something I thought about doing for years. You know, I just kind of hemmed and hawed around it. And then the realtor who actually helped me buy a couple of our properties, he became a good friend of mine, actually. Island Flips, if you want to check him out on Instagram.
Yes. I follow them. They're awesome.
They're awesome. James and Martine are their name, and they're awesome. And anyways, James actually kind of gave me the push. He's like, you know what, man, why don't you just go do it yourself? Like I had the passion and the drive for real estate. So now I figured, well, I like people. I like talking a lot. So let's see we make a living out of it. Right. So so he gave me that little push. And so I got my license. I was going to get it before last summer, before the market really blew up, but COVID kind of threw a damper on all the courses and everything. So it kind of messed that up. So it did put it off a bit, but.
Oh, that's so cool. And so what have you been doing as a realtor since January 5th?
Well, I try to get down to the office. The nice thing I like about being a realtor, it is kind of what you get out of it is what you put into it, right?
Yeah.
So I find I have a little office here at home, but I get sidetracked with the dogs or, my wife or whatever else, taking the dogs out or gets trapped on Facebook. So I try to make an effort at least twice a week to go to the office. And I'm focused, exactly. Once I'm done this renovation and the project that we're working on with this duplex, I plan on going down probably 4 or 5 days a week because I find I get so much more done. And so what I've actually been doing is not so much cold calling, but I'll sit on there and I'll go back the last 3 or 4 years to expired listings, and I just looking at the expired listings and then see what I can find. Yeah, and cold call people. Some people, they don't want to be contacted. So you got to be careful that you're not stepping on another realtor's toes or that the house maybe didn't sell privately after the fact. Like there's a lot of back and forth and checking things out, but it's worked so far. Not that I've gotten any listings, but I've generated a couple leads, which has been nice.
Oh, that's cool. Maybe you'll find your next deal that way as well.
I've showed my wife as I'm going through it, I was like, look at this house, look at this one, and it's still the same owners, and they tried selling 3 years ago, they still own it. Maybe they'd be interested in selling, right? So that's kind of what it might find another deal that way, and someone just wants to get out of the house. But the big thing people are finding now is like they can sell their house for more than what they paid for it, but where are they going to go?
That's the problem. Yeah, you're going to sell it, but then you're homeless.
Yeah, you don't want to put yourself out of the market.
Or you got to spend all that profit you made from your house, go buy, and you got to spend that profit on the next house you buy, right? And it's it's hard. So for some people, they're just staying put, and some people are jumping on the fact that they can make an extra $100,000 over what they paid.
Exactly.
Yeah, they might as well take advantage of the market. You don't know what it'll be like next year.
Exactly. And that's just it, right? You never know. It could take a total dive, or it might just stay banging, right? You don't know.
Yes.
Exactly. Wow. So thank you so much. It's been amazing chatting with you.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they reach out?
Instagram would be the best. It would be the best way. Johnny Invest on Instagram. Like I said, I'm trying to do my TikTok a little bit more. You get sidetracked on the run of trying to remember to take a video and do something. Take some time. Instagram is honestly the best way.
Cool.
But you can look me up, John Matheson at Royal LePage, and I'll pop up on there. If you're looking to buy a house on PEI anyway, or you want a vacation home, it's a great spot to buy Airbnbs. Like we have 1 million tourists summer, I do believe it is. So it's an awesome tourist location.
That is amazing. That's almost 10 times your population.
Yeah.
And that's our storage unit is right on the main highways. You come off the bridge. So I told Liz, there's 1 million people a year going by there. I said, I'm just going to put a big sign with my face on it saying realtor. You want to, why leave when you stay here with my name? Call me, right?
Oh, awesome. What a great idea.
Yeah. But anyways, no, it's Instagram be the best way to find me, folks.
So Johnny Invests on Instagram. Are we on TikTok?
No, we're not. But we're going to be on TikTok.
So your stories and stuff that you put out on TikTok, it would be great. It's just those quick 15-second videos, and you can reach so many people. One day you may reach 100 people. The next day there might be 1 million people who see it, right? You never know.
I remember when it was Musical.ly, so our daughter was on it, and then I'm like, well, I don't have time for this stuff.
Yeah.
You see other people dancing. Do you see me dancing? Like, no, it's not gonna happen.
He has no coordination.
So, Anyway.
It's been a blast, folks. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. I hope we can do this again someday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll need an update.
We'll need an update on your storage units.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take
Have
care.
a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.